Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for tonight. I'm Lonnie. Before we get started, I just need to make a couple of quick announcements. Used to, I was the Friday night reviewer. See, when I first started on Body Bags, I was the Saturday night reviewer, and then I had taken some time off. And then when I came back to Body Bags, I got back on to Friday nights. And so now I'm back doing the Saturday night reviews. So, usually you would expect to see me on a Friday night. Well, now I'm going to be back on Saturday nights. So that's one number. That's one thing that I wanted to talk about. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was that usually my channel was Horror Heaven 77. And I just like to announce that I'm starting a new channel called Terror and Tats, where I'm going to be talking about movies, obviously horror, stuff that's horror related, horror movies, books, music, all kinds of things like this. I'm going to be showing off cool things that I find out, out in the wild. Like today I found this cool puzzle box, this Rubik's Cube of Pinhead and things. So I'm going to be talking about things like that. I'm also going to be talking about my love of tattoos and things like, talking about like, here I just got this new Michael Myers tattoo, which I thought was really cool. Goes with the, goes pretty good with the Thorn cult symbol that I got there. So I'm going to be talking about things like that. So that's going to be my new channel. So you might want to follow me there. And also too, I'm waiting to get I got a new camera, new phone with a new camera on it, and I can't believe how good the picture quality is. And I can't wait to start uploading videos to Body Bags using the new camera because, I'm more than sure you guys have noticed that the picture quality on my videos is not particularly good at all. And I'm really looking forward to using this new camera. It's going to look so much better. I just uploaded my first video on Terror and Tats. You can go look at it. But you'll notice that the picture quality is day for night difference better compared to the videos that you have been seeing. So once I get my camera set up to where I can start uploading videos to Body Bags, I think you guys are going to notice a great improvement in picture quality in my videos. So I'm very excited about that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started talking about tonight's movie. The movie that we're talking about came out this year, and this movie's definitely getting some mixed reviews. It's kind of split down the middle. Either you love it or you hate it. Personally, I really like it. But the choice is yours. The movie we're talking about is Spiral from the Book of Saw. And obviously the movie stars Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. And this movie is a bit different from the other Saw movies, but it does take place within the same universe as the Saw films. One thing I will say that is right off the bat is going to be a real downer is no Tobin Bell. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you're going in hoping that you're going to see, at least a cameo by Tobin Bell as John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, it's not going to happen. It's, it really has very little connection to, John Kramer, Jigsaw, or anything like that. It is very much its own movie, its own story, but it takes place within, the Saw universe. The story is about a detective, Zeke Banks, played by Chris Rock, and his father, Marcus, is played by Samuel Jackson. Now, he's basically a very good cop. He works in the Metro. He's, a very straight-laced cop. He's very honest. He's a good guy. He does what he's supposed to do. He does his job. He follows the law, and everything else. He's a good cop. But the problem is that the cops that he's surrounded by are bad cops. And they're crooked. They've done a lot of shady things. And at one point, there was an incident where years ago, Zeke noticed that his partner, Pete, ended up murdering a person who was willing to testify against corrupt cops. And Zeke knew what was going on, and he turned around and he turned in Pete, and for corruption and things like this. And, on the one hand, you would think, okay, well, he's a hero. He turned in corrupt cops. Well, if there's one thing you do when you become a cop, you become a detective, there's one thing you don't do. You don't rat out your fellow officers, right? Which is what Zeke did. And he's basically, at one point he gets shot, and he's a loner. He's pretty much working, he's by himself all the time. He tries to refuse to have a partner whenever he can. and he doesn't trust anybody in the department, and he really just tries to keep to himself and do his job. Well, Zeke ends up getting a new partner named Shank, and they start putting together this case. Well, at first they think that it's a case of a hobo getting run over by a subway train. But what we find out at the beginning of the movie is that it's not Jigsaw, but it is a Jigsaw copycat of sorts. And I think one thing you are gonna be disappointed by is the kind of voice that the character uses whenever he does his speech. I mean, we've all known Tobin Bell, in his infamous voice. It's like, "Hello, I want to play a game," you know. And so now this one, "Hello, I want to play a game." So yeah, the voice is going to be a little off-putting when you first hear it. But it turns out that the quote unquote hobo that ended up getting killed was actually a cop, and this cop ended up getting his tongue ripped out by one of these traps. And the reason why is because this cop had been lying under oath, testifying in court, you know, basically lying his ass off. And so basically that's his punishment. And then little bit by little bit, Zeke ends up being kind of drawn into kind of a cat and mouse game with this new Jigsaw. And it turns out that this new Jigsaw is targeting the crooked members of the police department. And he's looking to basically stamp out all the corrupt cops. And so it's up to Zeke to try to, figure everything out and try to, you know, uh, solve the mystery and everything. And he's trying to get his father's help. And his father, is like the one thing that I don't think I'm really giving away too much by saying this, but the one thing that I really, really didn't care for in this movie is like they make such an obvious red herring. They really, really, really try to make you think that Samuel Jackson's character Marcus is the new Jigsaw, and it's like the problem is like within a minute or two you can clearly tell that he's not. I mean, like yeah, Sam Jackson has a reputation for taking almost every role that he's offered, but I don't think that he's really going to commit to doing like 7 or 8 of these movies, not with all the other offers that he gets given to him. So I don't think that's going to happen. So, but I'm not going to give away the ending or anything like that. But this movie, it definitely has the Saw feel. You get some interesting traps, some interesting trap set pieces. One thing you can debate whether or not like these are some of the better ones or some of the worst ones. Personally, I think these were I think some of the, yeah, I would say these are probably some of the better traps I've seen, from some of the recent Saw movies. Some of the Saw movies, I thought, the traps got to a point they were a little ridiculous, and they got to the point they were just kind of over the top cartoony. And this seems like a little bit better. And while this movie isn't really a direct sequel or of sorts to the original movie, it definitely calls back elements to the original Saw film, and it's definitely a love letter to the original Saw film. But the movie very much is more like if you kind of took Saw and mixed it with Seven, and that's pretty much what you're getting. It's a horror movie. It's a Saw movie mixed with like a detective thriller, and like I said, it's a little bit tonal differently. And like one thing that is a little bit different as well is that this movie it's Chris Rock. You know how it is, when you get somebody who's known for comedy, we've seen it before with, John Landis on American Werewolf in London. We've seen it with Kevin Smith in Tusk. We've seen it with Eddie Murphy in Vampire in Brooklyn. We've seen it with, Jordan Peele with Get Out and Us and things like this. When you have somebody who comes from a comedy background and they approach a horror film, now they're going to do the horror film, but comedy is eventually going to find its way in. It's just the way it goes. And I imagine that's going to be off-putting to quite a few Saw fans, particularly like really diehard Saw fans, because the Saw films are not known for comedy. They're not known for humor. They're known to be gory. They're known to be violent. They're known to be intense. They're known to be brutal, but they're not known to be funny. And so that is kind of a risk you're taking with this. You know that it's Chris Rock. There is going to be humor in it, whether you like it or not. It's just that's the way it's going to go. There's going to be some comedy in it. But one thing I will say though, overall, I enjoyed this movie, even though, like I said, I was really distracted by the really annoying red herring of trying to set up Sam Jackson's character as the new Jigsaw when it's like it's so clear it's not going to be him. Another thing, like I said, is yeah, you really Tobin Bell's presence is definitely missed from this movie. But aside from that, I did find myself entertained by the movie. I thought it was well done. The way, if you listen to the bonus features, the way it came about was that apparently they were already had writers working on a new Saw movie to begin with, and Chris Rock attended a wedding party, and it turned out at this wedding party, he ran into one of the producers from the Saw films, and Chris Rock, who it turns out is actually a very big Saw fan. He loves the Saw movies, and he approached the producer and told him, like, hey, I really love the Saw movies. I would really like to do one. I'd like to be involved with one and everything. And so they said, wow, that's actually kind of a coup that we could get Chris Rock to, appear in a Saw movie. And he said that, Rock said that, he would want to work with the writers and create a story and things like this. And it turns out the way they, because of Chris Rock, this becoming a passion project for Chris Rock, that's how they ended up getting Samuel Jackson involved because Samuel Jackson was like, whoa, Chris Rock is going to do this? Okay, well, I might want to invest in this myself. So that's how they got Samuel Jackson to be in it. But the one thing that I will say is that was really kind of cool of Chris Rock to do was according to his interview, he said that one thing the writers kept doing was they kept trying to write jokes and they kept trying to inject more and more and more humor in it. And Chris Rock put his foot down and said, no, look, I'm not here to make a comedy. I'm not here to take the Saw movies and turn it into a scary movie. That's not what I'm here to do. He's like, I'm here. I love the Saw movies. I'm a fan of the Saw movies. I'm here to make a Saw film. That's what I want to do. That's why I agreed to this project and everything else. He's like, I want you to write, he's telling the writers, I want you to write a Saw film. I don't want it to be a comedy. I don't want it to be shtick or anything like that. So that was actually really cool of him, and you could definitely tell, like, I believe that Rock really put his effort into this, and I believe he really wanted to try and make a really good movie. And I believe it's in his performance. Yeah, there are moments, where he's doing his kind of humor and shtick and things like this. But I think personally, I felt like he handled the more dramatic and the more, serious tone of the film. I think he handled it quite well. And Rock is somebody I've seen him do comedy, and I've seen him do, some, do a lot of humor, but also do some serious acting as well. Like Dogma is actually a really good example. If you ever have a chance to see the movie Dogma, he is funny in the movie, but he does have a dramatic presence to him, and I think he really pulled it off. And personally, I think he did in this movie as well. I think he really, approached this movie as a fan, and he wanted to make this for the fans. So, I mean, you can disagree with me, but personally, I really do think that Rock really did have passion for this movie, and he really did want to make a good film out of it. And overall, I think he did a good job. There are a couple moments where his shtick does kind of take you out of the movie a little bit, but still, I think he did well enough to pull it off. And you do get some good gore effects, and I think it definitely helps though too. This movie, even though it's kind of like not direct, it's not exactly like Saw 9, but it's still in the same universe as Saw. And I think that the fact that they got Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed Saws 2, 3, and 4, to come back to do this one, um, and the fact that it very much feels like a Saw movie, it has the look and everything else. I think that that was really a good idea to get him to come back and do this. Um, but yeah, like I said before, I just do think that I think it really could have been this movie could have benefited at least from a little cameo, like a flashback cameo of Tobin Bell, or something. And you do miss like some of the Saw trademarks. You do miss Tobin Bell. You miss the Jigsaw voice. You miss Billy the puppet. Things like there is like a puppet in here, but it's not Billy the puppet that we've become known to to associate with the Saw films and things like this. But so yeah, going understanding there are going to be some changes. It's not exactly like it's not. It doesn't have everything that you associate with a Saw film, but Um, yeah, overall, I really do enjoy this. I will say though, like I said, um, kind of like you know, it is a who done it who ends up being the killer. And yeah, you kind of already figure it out. You kind of end up being a couple of steps ahead of the movie, and you kind of piece it together before the movie actually gets there. So it has its weak moments, but overall, I can watch this movie again. I was entertained by it. For me, it's a time waster. Is it the absolute best movie in the Saw franchise? No. Personally, my favorites are the first three. But this one here, like I said, I could put it on and have it on as a time waster, and I would have no problems with it. And I do like that it is a little bit tonally different from the other Saw films. It's not just okay, one trap, two trap, three trap. The traps are still there, but it's kind of like now it's kind of nice because they have a reason to be in a way, if that makes sense. But overall, yeah, I would definitely say check it out if you are a fan of the Saw movies, but just kind of understand it. It says in the title, Spiral from the Book of Saw. It's a movie. It's a movie. That's a spin-off from the Saw film. It's not just a direct Saw sequel. So just kind of understand that, and but I say give it a shot if you like the Saw movies, and if you like good grisly detective thrillers like Seven and things like this. I think you'll enjoy Spiral. So I did. So anyway, oh, also too, it looks really good in 4K. But anyway, so that's pretty much going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have different reviewers, one for every day of the week. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I was the Friday reviewer. Now I'm back to Saturdays. And like I said, once I get my camera set up to start loading up videos to Body Bags, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much better the picture quality is in my videos is going to look. And so I'm looking forward to that. So that's it. So everybody, thank you again. Take care. Have a good night. And I'll see you next time.